It's a Lighthouse Birdhouse, guys. This is what we're going to make today. A Lighthouse Birdhouse. Check this out. It even works. Works in the dark, guys. How's that for a Lighthouse Birdhouse? To guide the birds safely home to their nests. Haha. It took a bit to make, guys, a bit to make. Got the entrance for the bottom birdhouse for the door and the top birdhouse for the side panels. Look at that. Go rocks around the base just like a real lighthouse would, with the waves crashing over it. It was a lot of fun to make, guys, a lot of fun to make. The Lighthouse Birdhouse. Let's get into it. I got my pattern all cut. You see how I marked all the flat surfaces with the arrows? So I know what side to keep up against the fence. Always keep the flat side up against the fence. And you also notice that the stop is very wide. So the marks go up against the stop and the marks go to the saw. That way when you keep twisting it, everything's the same. So that's our bottom of our lighthouse now. We do the same to the top of the lighthouse. Top and bottom cut down now, but this is our finished sides. So we're going to put 12mm ply up on all the angles now to make the stem of the lighthouse. So the bottom and the top have to be cut down again by 12mm. But on an angle this time, it's 7 degrees. So I'm going to do that on my small saw over there. Then I set the blade to 7 degrees and I'll cut 12mm off this again. See, it's just a matter of steps, guys. You're just got to go through the steps one at a time and you get there. Okay, just cutting 12mm now off each corner. That's 12mm to the outside of the blade, guys. And be careful with the small pieces. And keep a track of where you are so you don't cut the same spot twice. It's very easy to do. Another glorious day in the shed, as I say. Alright, I've started doing the compound miters, but I had to get it right in my head before I show you. Okay, the first thing I did was I made a centre mullion to hold the top and bottom together until we get all the sides on, or some of the sides on. And I've cut a couple of compound miters. Look at that, 22.5 degrees and raked. It's not as hard as what you think, guys. It's not as hard as what you think. Alright, I'll show you exactly how I did it. I can tell you, but you know me, I'm not good at explaining things, so I'm just going to show you. And then we'll take it from there. Okay, just cutting a straight miter now at 22.5 degrees first. And then turning it over and cutting the angle. So there's only one angle being cut here. But when it's finished, it looks like there's two angles. And now gluing it all up. And the piece that we cut is oversized. So we can go anywhere along that miter to close it up or to open it up. Whatever you like, and it still covers. Pinning it on with an nail gun now. You see how I cut the miters? They're at 22.5 degrees. I cut one straight miter and then I went down and I cut the angle miter. It looks like there's two angle miters there, there's only one. If you wanted the top and bottom to be squared, you'd have to do the two angle miters. But because we cut our planks oversized and we're going to leave them overhang each end, we're going to cut these off later square. So that's the trick, guys. That's the trick, to make your planks oversized. Also, because they are tapered, if you make them oversized, if you cut one too small, to push it up a little bit and become good again. See? That's the trick of the trade, guys, the trick of the trade. We've got to do two more now, and then we're going to stop for a minute, but we've got to put the shelf in. We'll take the centre pole out, and then we can put the shelf in for the two bird boxes, or because we can't do that later, but we won't be able to get it in there later, before everything else goes on, if you get my drift. Again, I don't explain things right away. But, que sera, sera, as someone said. Alright guys, we shall do that now. We'll put the next two on. I've made a shelf so we can have a bottom birdhouse and a top birdhouse. So there'll be two birdhouses in this Lighthouse Birdhouse. And you've got to fit the shelf before you get past the two side pieces, otherwise you can't get the bloody thing in. I've cut the new sides now, and we just stick them on. We just nail them on, and then the last one, and then sand it all up, and we're done. We're done for the stem. I marked out where I want the holes and the windows to be for the birds in the stem and the doorway. So we'll drill them, and then we can paint all the stem up. And then I'm going to accent it in timber. Okay, just drilling the holes now for the windows and the doorways with the drill. And just propping it up square. Looks like a road cone, doesn't it? Ah. And now drilling the architraves around the round windows. And sanding them up on the spindle sander. Very easy. Good little machine, the spindle sander, I like it. And just putting a bit of glue on each corner, and I just pin it on. All done. Yeah, I use 23 gauge pins in my pin gun. Very easy. We've got all the door with the windows on. It's coming up quite well, isn't it? Look at that. Very nice. For the base of the lighthouse. I've also got some rocks. So I'll make a base now, and then I'm going to arrange the rocks, glue the rocks on around the bottom of the lighthouse. So it looks like it's on a windswept point of an ocean or something, with the waves breaking all around the rocks. Look at that I found. I found the light. A solar powered garden light. It's going to be incorporated into the top. It's going to look great, isn't it? Solar powered, so it's going to go on automatically at night time to guide the birds home. Ha! Okay, alright. We all know birdhouses aren't made for birds. Birds don't give a rat's ass where they nest. Birdhouses are made for people to look at in their garden. And a bird might come every now and again. That's it. And what great fun they are to make, guys. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to make these sort of things. But they're so much fun to make. Better than, oh, I made a dovetail drawer. Look at my dovetail. That was a lot of fun to make. Crap. These are fun to make. These sort of things are fun to make. But you don't have to be that precise. They're just fun things to make. They look good and everyone likes them. What else do you want in woodwork? Next trick is to make the base so we can arrange the rocks around them and leave a little spot for the birds to land, as if they're going to land. And then we can work on the lantern top. Just cutting the base now on random angles, like it's a point of a bit of land. Filling in on all the rocks around the edge after I painted it up green. There you go. A little bit of silicone and they'll stick nicely. We've got all the jagged rocks around the bottom of the lighthouse. You can just imagine the waves pounding over them, can't you? I'm not going to do that, it's too wet. It made it a little bit heavy, but not too much. I just still getting all of them on, and they come out great. Look at that. Place for the birds to land. Got a cold, if you can't tell. Got a cold today. So, now we've got to work on the lantern part, the top part. My light, which is solar powered, multi-cutted. So that will go on the top somehow. I've got a bit of teak to make the top platform out of, and then the walkway around it, and then the lantern, and then the roof over the lantern, and so on. So this is fun, guys. This is fun woodwork, as I say. I should change my channel name to the guy that makes fun woodwork. Let's get on to it. This is 3/4 inch thick. We'll cut the bottom of the lantern base, and then we'll take it from there, guys. Just cutting the angles now on the top of the lighthouse. You notice how I went about 30mm past the top of the lighthouse all the way around. Just creeping up on the lines. And now I'm mortising the holes for the stanchions with the mortise machine. You could do this with dowels too if you like. You don't need a mortise machine, you can make them round. Doesn't matter. I just use the mortise machine because I had it. But dowels would work just as nicely. And just putting a half round with my little router on all the edges. And sanding up the stanchions now, the small stanchions. And this is a bit of carry for the roof. Bloody hard. Mate, I could hardly get through it. I eventually got through it. And there you go, there all the uprights made of pine. And that's how it's going to look like that. That's how the light's going to fit into that. Pretty good. And just cutting a little angle on the carry now. And then putting a mould on that all the way around to soften all the edges. And cutting the small stanchions. I've got all my bits and pieces for the lantern almost cut up. I've got the base all cut out on the mortise machine. I've got little square holes in the corners and 4 big ones in the centre to hold the top plate that's going to hold the light. And the light's going to sit in there like that on the stanchions. So the stanchions will go in here like that. 4 of them. And then the light, see the light? Look at that. Changes colour. Cool. Okay, and the light will just sit in there like that. Like that, and that will all get fixed in. And I've got the small stanchions to go around the outside. So the birds don't fall off the top of the lighthouse. And after they're glued in, I'll put a rail around the top again. But the first thing what we're going to do now, this is the end of the day, so we just glue all the stanchions in now, ready for tomorrow. Cool. Next day now, just cutting the balustrading around the small stanchions. Just cutting one at a time, creeping up on it. Because everything's so small, you've got to be careful. To see if they fit. I've stained them up and bit of glue now. And I'll pin them on with a pin gun. Just one pin on each will do fine. To the glue dries. Done. And spraying it up now. All done. Spraying it up outside. Coming out great, isn't it? 4 different timbers there. Look at that! The Lighthouse Birdhouse. Bit heavy, guys, isn't it? Come up great. Come up really well. A lot of work went into it, as you see. A lot of work went into it. But it's fun to make, guys. It's really fun to make. I got Angus the parrot sitting on the front here. Look at that. The Lighthouse Birdhouse, guys. The Lighthouse Birdhouse, guys. Look at that. What a great lighthouse. Alright guys, thanks for being with me today. Please subscribe and come back next time where we're probably going to be making another unusual birdhouse. Because I like making unusual. See you guys.